So is there a bubble about to burst in Myrtle Beach? Let's talk about it now. What's happening, guys? It's Jeremy Blanton with RE/MAX Southern Shores, and today we're going to discuss the current real estate market here in Myrtle Beach. Is there a bubble about to burst? Is there a market crash that's coming our way? And is moving to Myrtle Beach something that can actually be done? We're going to discuss all of these things today, and hopefully by the end of this video, you're going to realize that it's a safe and good thing to think about moving to Myrtle Beach. All right, so let's get into this a little bit and let's discuss what is happening here in the Myrtle Beach market. As you can see by this graphic right here, right now in Myrtle Beach, on a regular basis, we're selling more homes each month. More homes are going pending than those that are actually coming onto the market. The other thing that you can see by this graphic is that right now, on average, single family homes are selling for 99.1% of the list price. So what does that mean? You're basically looking at buying a house close to, if not more, than what the asking price is. Why is that per se? Well, it has to do with the fact that our market has extremely low inventory right now. There's a great demand for people wanting to move to Myrtle Beach from all across the country. I'm talking to people on a regular basis from California, Arizona, and of course the typical places like New York, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, all of those great places up in the Northeast. Why are these people moving here? Well, the people from the Northeast, they're coming because they're tired of snow. They're tired of high taxes and high expensive living on a regular basis. Why are the people coming from the West Coast? Well, from what I've heard, everyone is wanting to get out of California right now. I don't really know the real reason why, but some of what I've been told has to do with the fact that it is so incredibly expensive to live there. So people are moving to Myrtle Beach on a regular basis, taking a trip here, visiting the area and falling in love and saying this is where we want to call home. So there is a really high demand right now of people wanting to move to the area. In addition to that, with the high demand and low inventory, we're seeing bidding wars, we're seeing multiple offers on properties. According to a graphic that I saw recently, on average, homes across the United States, not just Myrtle Beach, but everywhere, are seeing 3.7 offers per listing. So when you're going to buy that house, don't necessarily fall in love with it right away. You may not actually win that home, but you do need to be ready to make an offer fast and move quickly when you do find one that can meet your needs. What I always say is this: if the home meets 80% of your needs, 10% you can live with, and 10% that you can change later, you need to offer on that house right now. Because if you take time to think on it, sleep on it overnight or something like that, it's gonna be gone tomorrow. The other thing about this is that right now across the country, days on the market has gone down tremendously. The number used to be around 28, 29 days. That is now reduced down to 18 days is the average time that a home stays on the market. 18 days, that's just over 2 weeks' time. So properties are not lasting. Lawrence Yun, who is the chief economist for NAR, said this is not a bubble, it's simply a lack of supply. Now, before I get into why this is not a bubble, why we're not heading towards a market crash, I think I need to first step back and talk about the last crash that we had. You know, that one in the middle of the 2000s, around 2007, 2008, and what caused that to happen. So the first part of the crash of 2007, 2008 was something that we had no control over. That was a natural disaster that took place down in New Orleans. When that natural disaster took place, we watched that rates on home insurance across our area tripled almost overnight. So all of the oceanfront condominiums that we have in Myrtle Beach had monthly HOA increases from $400 to some $900, $1,200, $1,300 almost overnight. The people that were buying these properties back then, they couldn't really afford them. They were purchasing these properties on what's called an interest-only loan, which means what they do is for a certain amount of time, they're making monthly payments on just the interest of that mortgage. At the end of that time frame, whenever it comes due, the whole amount of the mortgage principal is due at that time. So people were buying properties on this really bad way of purchasing homes, and they couldn't really afford them. And they were doing this because they would buy a house today for $200,000, close on it tomorrow, put it on the market the next day for $250 and sell it a few days later for $260 or $270,000. And people were just flipping things left and right and left and right. And the market was not really true to form at that time. People had money that they were making, thinking that they were doing this great thing with investing, but really they were just flipping properties. And when everything slowed down and came to a halt, they got caught. They got caught in a very bad situation where they could no longer afford these homes. And so all of this inventory flooded the market. My father used to say it was kind of like a light switch effect. We were in this amazing seller's market where things were selling quick, and all of a sudden everything just changed. We're now in a buyer's market. Instead of there being 1 or 2 properties for sale, all of a sudden 20 to 30 became available. And the things that sold was whatever was the cheapest at the time. In comparison to what we had back then and now is completely different. There is still a tremendous demand on properties for people to purchase. The inventory though is extremely low. When you start to look at some of these graphics that I'm going to show you, you're going to see that we're not able to produce as many homes right now as there is need. In fact, when you look at this previous decade to decades before, you will see that production has gone down almost in half of what it used to be. So there's less things being built for the demand. Demand is continuing to go up, which helps me to believe we're not going to see a bubble burst anytime soon. The second thing that's going to help to prevent us from going through a housing crash this time is that there are plenty of regulations in place when it comes to mortgages. As I mentioned, back then you could do these interest-only loans. Literally, I feel that people were able to get a loan if they were breathing, had a credit score above 700, and they just gave you money. The problem is they weren't really doing a lot of checking through things to make sure they actually had money, that they actually had good credit. They just saw, hey, a high score, boom, give them money. Nowadays, when it comes to getting a loan, there's a lot more that's involved with the credit checks and with the fact checking to make sure you can truly afford this home. They want to make sure that you're not getting in over your head and that you're going to cause a problem down the road. They want to make sure those who take a loan are going to pay back. Secondly, the buyers who are purchasing during this current hot market are much more qualified than those who bought back in the mid-2000s. First, take a look at the average credit scores of these buyers. The average credit score nowadays is 751 for buyers. That means it's an excellent rating and that these people are some of the best buyers out there and are going to get some of the best rates available on a mortgage. Next, check out DTI, or debt to income ratios. This is the ratios of what loans and personal debt someone currently has versus the income that they actually have coming in. In order to qualify for most loan programs, your debt needs to be less than 50% of your total income. From looking at this graphic, you can see that right now the average on all loans, DTI, is 35%. So what does that mean? It means that buyers who are currently looking to purchase a home are highly qualified. It means that they're not going to go belly up on the house and it's going to end up in foreclosure. It means that the money that they take out is going to be paid back in full. And the final reason why I don't see a market crash coming anytime soon or a bubble bursting is that interest rates are remaining incredibly low. Right now, on average, most interest rates are under 4%. That is extremely affordable. It's almost like free money that they're giving to people right now. Back in 2006, when I bought my townhouse, I took out a mortgage for $186,000. Just a few weeks ago, I had a client who bought a home for twice that amount, and their mortgage rates and their monthly payments were the same as what I had. Why is that? When I bought my townhouse, my interest rate was 7.69%. Back then, that sounded like a great rate, especially for those of you who may remember the 80s when interest rates were 13-14%. That sounded like a great amount to get. But here's the reality. Nowadays, interest rates are half that amount. That means that the buying power of consumers right now is extremely high. And from what I've seen, these interest rates are not going away anytime soon. Check out these graphs. From what all the indicators show, interest rates will start to see some activity as we head into the second half of this year. But overall, those rates should not see a major spike like originally expected. According to the projections I've seen, the average interest rate shouldn't go over 3.67 over the next 12 months. If these rates stay low like this, it will continue to allow buyers to afford purchasing a home and experiencing the reality of home ownership. If interest rates continue to stay this way, it's going to allow many buyers to experience the reality of home ownership. So in closing, do I see the bubble bursting anytime soon? Do I see a crash happening here in Myrtle Beach? No. We're not going to see any type of crash happen here in the area anytime soon. However, if you are thinking about buying a house in the future, you may want to consider doing that sooner rather than later. Why is that? Because pricing is continuing to go up. Because there is such a lack of supply in the area, that's going to just continue to drive prices up in our area. And what you could purchase today for $300,000, maybe $350,000 next year at this time. At the same time, if that interest rate just goes up 0.25%, that could take your buying power down as well. So interest rates go up, buying power goes down. Inventory goes down, prices go up. Hope that makes sense to you guys, and I would highly recommend that you do that sooner than later. Now you may be saying, well Jeremy, we're not ready to make the move to the area right now. That's okay. If you purchase your home though right now, what you can do is get it involved with a long-term rental management company. I spoke to our rental manager the other day, and she shared with me that they have such a demand of people moving to the area needing a property to rent for a year or so, and they have nothing. They have zero inventory, just like the sales market. So that might be something to consider for you. Have them take care of paying your mortgage for the next few years, get the home at today's prices with today's rates, and save a lot of money in the long run. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, you found it informative. If you have more questions, shoot me an email. My email's right down here, and I look forward to talking to you all soon. And as always, if you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up, get that bell on, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.